violent diarrhea. We're doing this deliberately. Lower your nervous system. Then we would administer tartar-emetic, which is antimony, salts of antimony, more heavy metal. This will ulcerate the stomach, it will cause vomiting. Then we will bleed you. Here we go. Lancets. The emblem of my profession as a surgeon are these small folding knives, which can be used for many things. For example, lancing a boil. I could even remove a bullet if it's not too deep. But this is mainly used for bloodletting, otherwise known as phlebotomy, venesection, wet cupping, or breathing a vein. To open a vein, never an artery. We don't want you to bleed to death. If I open an artery, you will be unconscious in 2 minutes and dead shortly. So we want low pressure venous blood that's returning to the heart. Ladies actually like to be blood on the foot because if there's a scar, their stocking and their shoe will write it. But any vein will do, anywhere in the body. Usually here, 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 down here, on the foot, anything will do. And we will take anywhere from an ounce of blood, possibly 2 ounces, to as much as a quart of blood. You won't miss that quart of blood because the medical schools of the 18th century teach that the adult human body has 11 quarts of blood in it. The real figure is 5 to 6 quarts. So bloodletting oopsies do happen fairly often, I'm afraid. This is called a cupping glass, that if necessary, when I bleed you, and I usually demonstrate in the bacillic vein right there in the wrist, heat the cup, place it over the incision with the lancet, and you'll get a low pressure vacuum where you'll draw blood out. I also can use dishes like this, or barber's balls like this to collect blood. So, puke, purge, and bleed. And those are the words of Dr. Benjamin Rush, America's first celebrity doctor, signer of the Declaration of Independence. Clever doctor, although a traitor at the same time. Remember, this is the British camp here. We don't have a lot of use for American doctors. So, you're wondering why anybody even goes to a doctor in the 18th century. Well, if you're feeling bad and you're frightened, you're going to turn to anything you've got. And it's got to be said that we're not bleeding you and purging you because we hate you. We believe this is actually helping you by lowering dangerous levels of nervous that. On the other hand, if you're injured on the field of battle, I might actually be able to do you some good. Most of the damage is done by a 58 to 63 caliber musket ball like this, weighing about an ounce, fired from a smoothbore musket. There's one over there leaning against the bench. Think of it as a shotgun, and not a good one.
Oh yeah, that's a good
one. Rattle its way down the barrel, and it will wobble. It's light. It's going about 600 feet per second, roughly, very slow at that standards. Over 80 yards, you're very unlikely to hit a man-sized target, which is why the troops line up and fire volleys. They're trying to get a shotgun effect, send so much lead downrange that you hit something. If you are struck, the ball will flatten. It will not deform like a modern bullet or a Civil War bullet. It will flatten, and think of it as doing a very serious form of blunt trauma as it pushes its way into the body. If you're hit along the center line of the body, the odds are you'll be killed and you won't have to see a surgeon. But you never know, because the angle of attack and the muzzle velocity once it hits you is so variable that the musket ball could crack a rib and bounce off of you, or it could kill you dead, or anything in between. If a bone is struck, a fracture is the most common result. Here we have the humerus, bone of the upper arm. Notice the chip in the fracture line. The ball will strike there, it'll lodge in the wound. It might ricochet out or go around and lodge in the armpit. Usually it does not have the muzzle velocity to actually comminute or shatter the bone unless you're hit at close range or near a joint. Then you can get comminution, shattering into spicules of splinters of bone. That is when we amputate. Remember, we've got no antibiotics, we've got no medical imaging, that if you have a shattered bone, the best and most efficient treatment is to remove the limb. Otherwise, you will almost certainly die of gangrene, decay at the tissue due to interrupted blood flow, or blood poisoning, anemia. that you could also get tetanus. So removing a limb, it's brutal. We don't like to do it, but in my opinion, it's a piece of mercy. Amputation has got an average success rate for the operation of about 70%. More if I have a lower rate of success if I have to cut nearer to the heart. But there will be post-operative infection because there's no antiseptic surgery, there's no germ there.
Yeah.
Say you've got a 50-50 chance, that sounds pretty bad. However, gangrene kills 90% of the time or more. That tetanus and blood poisoning, myemia, can kill 100% of the time. And there's nothing I could do except give you opioids for the pain. So amputation is sometimes necessary. Don't get the wrong idea. This is not the American Civil War, almost 100 years later. The musket, although very dangerous, is not as deadly as the muzzle-loading rifle of the Civil War, which fires a quite different projectile, which looks like this, called a mini ball, or 58 caliber cylindro-conical expanding ball. It is going 1,100 feet per second and spinning in flight. You can hit a man-sized target, at least theoretically, out to 600 yards. If the ball hits you, it will deform. It does not do blunt trauma. It does a penetrating trauma. It deforms horribly and it blows a hole in you. I might be able to put my fist in. If it hits a bone, it will comminute or shatter the bone. That's why during the Civil War you have so many amputations. In 1777, out of 100 gunshot wounds that lived to get to me, I might do 3 amputations on the average. Could be a little more, might be none. In 1863, a surgeon out of 100 gunshot wounds might expect to do 15, 20 or more amputations. So it's the change in weaponry. Any questions at all?
No, thank you.
Let's have a short word about cannon. 4-pounder ball, 6-pounder ball. If you hit by one of those, you don't have to see the surgeon because you're quite dead. The bayonet, triangular bayonet, the secret weapon, particularly the British redcoat. Fix that onto the end of your musket and you've got a 6.5-foot long spear. Quite intimidating when you've got these inaccurate weapons that frequently misfire. Sometimes you've got to use melee weapons. However, I don't see many bayonet wounds as a surgeon. Why? Because usually troops that are faced by a determined bayonet assault flinch and they run. The first half of the American Rebellion, American soldiers rarely could stand up to a determined British bayonet assault, not because they were cowardly, I'm not saying that, but because they don't have the training, the drill, and the leadership, and the self-confidence to be able to defend against that. The second half of the war, they're starting to learn. By the way, you might hear that the 3-sided blade was designed to inflict incurable wounds. It's not true. It was designed to strengthen the blade so it doesn't snap off when it penetrates the body cavity. European metallurgy wasn't good enough in the late 17th century when the bayonet was invented and introduced. Now, a 3-sided wound is more difficult to treat, but it's quite treatable. You'll end up with an ugly scar because I might have to do 2 or 3 lines of stitches or sutures instead of 1. I just want to correct certain errors that you might pick up from watching the History Channel, which is a very unreliable source for information, particularly medical information.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Of course. Much pleased. Enjoy your day in the 18th century. That's something that I made. It's boring, I know. All right, well, let's start with the surgical instruments. Got the amputation knife, saw, surgical knives. They're not called scalpels. This is called a retractor. Draw back the flesh.
just call me Grandma, whatever. All right. Old guard. No, don't call me Lee. Grandma's better than Lee. Yeah. Okay. Just call me.
Horsehair procedures.
Just call me Soldier Keeley. Okay? Yeah, you or her mom's husband.
Hi. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Oh, yeah, just looking around.
Ice. So we can't be too perfect. It's funny that Scott gets jealous.
Maybe he didn't ask for it.
People don't say so, but a dog does. Yeah, it should have been cut. Yeah, because that doesn't help.